That's got to be fucking junk mail. All right, so now I have prefabs. Notice over here in the list that they're blue, right? Okay, we've burned up 30 minutes. I'm going to try and go a little bit faster, and I think I might turn this into a 2-hour one. And everybody's, you know, obviously you can jump out anytime you want, but I will continue working at some point and then save it up to YouTube. Okay, so tools, let's go to UScript and the UScript editor. Pop that open. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, do not show this at startup. Okay, now I'm going to save off. I'm doing this first because I don't want to start graphing a script and then forget to save it and then lose all my work. So I'm going to save it, call it dumpster baby, actually db main script, assign a master graph object, yes, okay, and then, okay, now the first thing I want to do is add an event, and I need to sort of figure this out. What's an event, right? I think a game event that's going to happen at the very beginning of the level, right? And let's call it, actually, you know what? Let me hook this up to a key first. Let's do an event, input event, and we'll do this. We'll do it just like we did last week. View, I'm going to snap to grid just because, once again, like I said, I work a little bit that way. Okay. Then on some input event, I'm going to add a condition. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do filter, input event filter, right? Okay, on any input, when this key down here, let's call it space, happens, sorry, on any event, if the space key is held down, let's action game object, spawn prefab, right? And let's walk through this a little bit. So when the input is down, we're going to, oh, what is this? We need a prefab name. And it says it's a string over here. So let's do this instead. Variable string. Remember I showed you the expose to Unity button? We'll do prefab. We'll call this building to spawn for now. I'm going to leave it blank. We're going to expose that to Unity. Spawn point, I'm going to ditch this. We'll just let it come in at 0, 0, 0 for right now. Actually, I take that back. Let's do this. Let's do a spawn point. And notice that it's purple, right? This purple thing says, okay, I want a physical spawn point in the world. Purple is game object. So let's do this. Let's create an empty game object, right? We'll move this to this location. And we'll do, let's see, let's call this 3. We know it wants to be at 3. And 0, 0. That's going to be almost at the center of the world. So let's do, move it up 5. No, minus 5 so that I can see it. Oh, hold on, I'm going to play this. Okay, I'll work on that in a sec. Hold on. Okay, so that means now we have a spawn test. Now I'm going to drag this over my mission control over into this window. Right? Boom, place game object. And that's our spawn point. Now actually what I can do, in fact I'm going to do this the other way. This is just a better habit for you. Variables, game object, add a game object. Let's expose this to Unity with spawn test here, and I'm going to leave it empty down here for a second. Okay, spawn name I'm not going to worry about right now, but what you can do is every time you spawn an object, give it a unique name or tell it what it is, and that's for using in other scripts potentially, or taking a generic object and making it unique. Okay, you see this? This is a down arrow. It says spawned game object. Okay, we'll use that in just a second, but I'm not going to use it right now. So when I hit on an input event, I'm listening for all of those, and the space bar is held down, we will go to spawn a prefab, whatever this building to spawn prefab is named, plus a spawn test, right? At spawn test, sorry, and that's it. So let's save this. Okay, back in this world, our use script showed up. So this is our base use script for the whole level. I'm going to drop it up at the top so I always know where it is. Notice right now that yeah, let's do that. Right now there's no exposed variables yet, so I think. Oh, okay. I'm going to show you the first your first C# script because Necronauticon actually has an assert in it. I'm just going to go in and stub this out. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining it because it's just in the way right now. However, in the meantime, I think over the next 20 seconds we need to listen to Dumpster Baby again.
Got a dumpster of fun, Dumpster Baby. That's so loaded, it's gonna explode. It's Dumpster Baby.
Dumpster Baby's taking out the trash.
All right. Okay, here we go. So, Dumpster Baby is right before Foo Fighters. Good to know. What I did is I double-clicked that script. It launched MonoDevelop, right, which is the built-in C# Boo Java editor. And then it opened up this part of the project. I am not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I am going to show you where the assert is here. And it says that it's on, looks like line 69. But what I'm looking for is the WePlayer definition. So actually, if I double click this, it should go straight to it. Boom. Case, runtime, WePlayer, break. I am going to show you a couple things. One, you can comment this way, right? Comment. Notice that it's gray. This is so you can leave yourself notes in your script, right? Or you can take out a whole box of code by using a wildcard. Notice that everything after that asterisk went gray. Okay, what we're gonna do, and then we'll close it. Okay, it's gone. Back to this. I'll show you the rest of that stuff later. Now, we should get a full compile. Okay, my results down here. I've got some warnings. Those aren't anything to be worried about. Notice I have clear on play because sometimes I get a lot of errors. Let's hit play and see what happens. Okay, I never moved the camera nor added a light. That's why it's dark and we're looking at their feet. So let's go back to the camera. Okay, let's move the camera more to here. I'll pull it back here. We just need to see where things are. In the inspector, I'm going to figure out what. Hold on. Control Z, which, I think it's this one, right? No. Okay, I'm moving it on a snap angle. All right, let's move it, which is holding the command button down. It'll rotate by a certain amount of degrees. Let's put our dumpster in, right? Into frame. Let's actually change this to pleasing gray for now. And then I am going to delete all of these generic buildings because I don't want those getting in the way while I test for my spawned building. All right, let's actually move our street more into the camera view. There's no reason to have street behind the camera right now. Dumpster, spawn test is there. Can I see that in the camera? I sure can. We'll see it. Okay, so when I hit play and the game view comes up, make sure this window is actually the active window. If I'm over here and start interacting with it, you hear that? That's gotten me a few times where I was like, why is shit not working? Come back to the game window, make sure that it's the one that's active. Okay, so I'm not getting anything. Let's go to the console. Am I getting... not getting an error. I was actually expecting an error. I am... you know what happened is I skipped a step. I assumed that I went to UScript and found my exposed variables. Right? And what happened was I did not actually assign those variables. So the expected result is actually nothing. Into confetti. Exposed to Unity, exposed to Unity. Save it. Script. No, don't use this one as master. Oh, interesting. I actually fucked myself over. Hold on. DB main. Here's my exposed variables. I'm going to leave those. Oh, this is interesting. I've never actually had that problem. Okay, so now let's go to spawn test. Where was that? So it went to assets first, go to scene, spawn test. Let's define that. So here it's still a string. So the building I want to spawn, right? Remember I created that resources folder? It's in a deeper working folder. This is actually not going to work. So I'm going to copy this text and I'll tell you why it's not going to work in a second. Let's put this in here. Building red. Hit play. Yeah, it went looking, but see I have an exception down here. The prefab you want to instantiate is null. That means that back in here, this variable is getting set the building to spawn, but it doesn't seem like that's working. Now there's a reason. It's because in the resources folder, I buried it into another folder, and it's a string. So to actually define where it is, I probably have to do red. I don't remember if I need a slash in front of that. Let's see. Yep, there it is. Okay, so I told it what folder it was in and then the name of the prefab. All right, now I'm actually creating a bunch. You can't see them because they're showing in the same place, but if you look over here in my inspector, my hierarchy inspector, I have a bunch of red buildings and they all have parenthetical clones on there, which means that they were created from a prefab. Okay, what's our next problem? Our next problem is I don't want all the buildings to show up in the same spot. So I can actually do something like, this is going to be sloppy. Okay, let's just call this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, however, they're all in the same place. Let's go back to our scene view. Let's move this one here. Let's move this one back there. Let's move this one closer to the camera. And we'll leave this one mostly alone, but over to the side. Let's go back to the UScript window. Can I pick it? No, wrong window. Okay, so we have a couple different things we can do. We could potentially tell it to switch spawn points, right? We could also cycle through the spawn points one at a time. But for the sake of showing you some script, I will do, when the spacebar is held down, pick a random spawn point. So let's do, show you a couple of things. There's lists, right? I'm going to show you a game object list. 2, 3, 4 of those. Spawn list, exposed to Unity. I'm going to go ahead and do add action. Variables, lists are under variables. Lists. Let's see here. game object list, access list. Basically, you can tell it to get stuff.